Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
Sir, how are you doing today? All the way from England. How's things in sunny England today? Well, good morning, mi amigos. Hey, I bet you are surprised to see my smiling face. As I was getting ready for this week's program, I realized that, we haven't had a personal visit in a bit. So this morning, no presentation, just me talking road trips and food. As you can tell, I like food, and I've sure missed road trips. I've had a couple, kind of an interesting week, of course. Every week's interesting in my world. What the hell? I got a letter from Forbes. Mr. Steve Forbes, his personal assistant, enclosed, please find a copy of your book, Ghost Town of Route 66. Steve Forbes is requesting that I send this to you and ask if you could be so kind as to inscribe it to a friend. Well, how about that? That's kind of something to get excited about. Well. Let's see. If you're an old timer or an old fart like me, you might want to grab a pencil this morning, something to scribble on besides the tablecloth. And you might want to grab your atlas. If you're not modern Amish, like me, then you probably have a techie way of taking notes and recording and doing things. So, with that said, we're going to get this thing started. I'll give a shout out to One Stop 66. They have been our coffee cup sponsor today with their new line of Route 66 Centennial mugs. Thank you very much. Well, shall we start with food or sponsors or some road trip inspiration? How about a little bit of both? I am quite proud that we have the iconic Wagon Wheel Motel as a sponsor. This is the oldest continuously operated motel on Route 66. And Connie Eccles, she is the very essence of Route 66 made manifest. She's done a marvelous job in the restoration of the motel, of weaving the Route 66 of the past with the Route 66 of the present, and even the Route 66 of the future. When you make the reservation, ask for one of the deluxe rooms with a sauna. And then plan on dinner at one of the great restaurants in Cuba. Due to COVID and things like that, I've learned that we've lost a few places there. The Four-Way, which was one of my go-to places. And we've lost Tuggy and Joe's. But still, I do not know of another town of this size which, with such a diverse array of restaurants, it's amazing. Always good. A couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to spend 3 days in Cuba on business, working with tourism there. And I ate at a different restaurant every day and never had a bad meal. You can tell that I don't miss a lot of meals in general. Missouri Hick Barbecue. It's got superb food and quirky atmosphere. It's right next door to the Wagon Wheel. I won't spoil the surprise, but if you find yourself in Cuba, you find yourself in Missouri Hick, check out the restroom. Okay, and downtown on Main Street, just one block off Route 66, is Frisco's Grill and Pub. Jimmy West does a great job down there. It's a superb place for something to eat, unique ambiance, and good cold beer. A lot of local brews. And right across the street is, across the tracks there off Main Street, is Riviera Maya. They have a really one of a kind interior. Um, it makes you feel like you are in Mexico, down in the Yucatan or something. And they have excellent Mexican food. And that comes from somebody that just, I love Mexican food. It's not New Mexico quality Mexican food, but it's damn good. And another dinner option is Belmont Vineyards and Event Center, located at 5870 Old Route 66 near Leesburg. This is actually just a few miles east of the Wagon Wheel Motel. It's located on a hill, and you have just sweeping views of this beautiful valley. And the Belmont Vineyards Winery and Bistro is a superb location for a special event, a simple dinner, or a group get together. They do specialize in catering to groups. From the tasting room that's adorned with European antiques and work of local artists, painters, and photographers, they have these nice sweeping covered porches, porticos, and a large pavilion. There's an attention to detail that ensures a memorable and relaxed experience. And during the annual Cuba Fest, the winery often figures prominently in the weekend's activities. Obviously, last year derailed things a bit, and I haven't heard much on this year. But Cuba Fest is the third weekend of the month. It's been going on, except for last year, for about 50 years. In addition to their signature wines and a new line of fun wines that include Route 66 limited editions, the bistro offers some unique dining options made from locally grown ingredients. A couple things I can recommend. The spinach and artichoke spread pizza with chicken, bacon, and a 3-cheese blend. Now, I'm mostly a beer drinker. I like a good cold glass of beer. Occasionally, my dearest friend, she likes wine. We'll indulge in some wine. They've got a couple of excellent wines that I can recommend there. The Pink Dogwood and Edelweiss. Excellent wines. And if you want to kick off the next day's Route 66 adventure on the right foot, well, grab breakfast down the street at Shelley's. Great, simple, old-fashioned breakfast. It's a tiny restaurant, but it's popular with the locals. So it can get a little crowded, but that's part of the charm. It's an old-fashioned kind of deal to sit down and order a 3-egg breakfast and some biscuits and gravy and grits, and visit with a local highway patrolman that stops in to have breakfast with his partner and the farmers. I always have trouble making a breakfast decision in Cuba. We really enjoy Shelley's, but I like the goodies at the Cuba Bakery and Deli. So if you want something a bit more intimate and Route 66-ish, let Connie know that you would like her to join you for breakfast when you check in, and then set a time to meet. She'll put the coffee on, and you can pick up some goodies down at the bakery. Get enough for a dozen people or so. And then just sit back, talk with Connie, and talk Route 66 with the guests as they check out in the morning. That sets the mood for the day. And that's the best way to kick off a day exploring Route 66 or a trip down Highway 19 to Steelville and Merrimack Springs Park. And if you visit the springs, chances are that you'll have to grab lunch in Steelville and spend another night in Cuba. Now, ain't that a shame? If you lunch in Steelville, I got a couple suggestions for you. Bob's Famous Burgers. They have been serving up first-rate burgers and lunches since 1955. I'm sure they've survived COVID. And for lunch or dinner, and this is only a few miles out of Cuba, so if you spend another night in Cuba, you can just zip down to Steelville. I think it's like 15 miles. The Spare Rib. This is another hole-in-the-wall restaurant, and but it's nice. It's good, and it opened in 1929. Well, let's well, most people do Route 66 east to west. I was going to talk a little bit about places in Indiana, Michigan, but I don't think we're going to have enough time to share with you about the loaded baked potato at Sarah's in Indianapolis, but we'll do that another day. Let's talk Chicago. Is anyone here familiar with the Berghoff? It's located at 17 West Adams Street. You can check out their website at theberghoff.com. This place dates to 1898, and to the best of my knowledge, it's the oldest continuously family-operated restaurant on Route 66. It was established as a men-only saloon. They offered a free corned beef sandwich with the purchase of a 10-cent stein of beer. Of course, Prohibition kind of changed that a little bit, but with the restriction of Prohibition lifted, the facility became a full-service restaurant offering German-American cuisine in a very unique ambiance. And then, of course, with the repeal of Prohibition, the city of Chicago issued liquor license number 1 to the Berghoff. For first-class, authentic German food, this place is highly recommended. They got a great selection of traditional American fares, always served with their special twist. My dearest friend and I have become infatuated with the Wild Hare Cafe at 104 Governor Oglesby Street in Elkhart, Illinois. The business district, the old business district there, it's about a block and a half off Route 66, across the tracks. And it is an old business district. This delightful cafe it's a hallmark. It really exemplifies the diversity of the Route 66 experience in the era of Renaissance. The owners are Peter Niehaus from the Netherlands. He's a Dutch hydraulic engineer by trade and a passionate woodworker as a hobby, and his wife, Renee Sisk of South Africa. They have lovingly transformed what was a early 20th century bank into a place that's kind of magical. Peter's great to visit with. He's a wonderful fella. The restaurant shares the buildings with horse feathers. Now, this is an odd antique and gift shop, and it also, on the same building complex, is Little Fox's, local candy and candle store. His wife, Peter's wife, is really she's a talented mural artist, and she has painted beautiful murals throughout the building. And in the vault, it's big enough for probably a dinner for 4, maybe 6. They've converted that into a private little dining room and filled with Pompeii-type murals. Very well done. Niehaus has renovated the woodwork, and he's added restored cabinetry that he has salvaged from area demolition projects, like the school in Lincoln. This makes for a pleasant setting to enjoy superb dinners and scrumptious desserts. And all the desserts, including the 4-berry cobbler, come with a ginger snap rabbit on top in the whipped cream. Very good. Add some zest to a Route 66 odyssey. Stop by the Wild Hare Cafe and give Peter a holler. The Ariston Cafe at 413 Old Route 66 North in Litchfield, Illinois. This is the real deal. This is an authentic Route 66 restaurant. With the retirement of Nick Adam, it lost a bit of its authenticity, as he was the son of the founder. Still, this restaurant exemplifies the perception that Route 66 is a chain of living, breathing time capsules. Established in 1924 by Pete Adam, a Greek immigrant, he did this in Carlinville. This delightful restaurant has operated from the current location since 1935. On my last visit with Nick in October of 2018, he showed me the bottom of one of the dining room chairs. They were marked with a tag that read, manufactured in occupied Austria. They were the chairs his father had bought just after World War II during a restaurant upgrade. The dining room and the emphasis on customer service present an impression that this restaurant time has stood still for decades. The menu is really diverse and interesting. Entrees range from steak, pork chops, Italian, Mexican dishes, great sandwiches, fresh salads. Desserts are prepared on site, including traditional great Greek favorites. That's one way to round out an excellent meal. My recommendation is the shepherd's pie, coffee, and a slice of warm apple pie. And moving down the road a piece, another classic is Ike's Chili House at 1503 East 11th Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Will Rogers purportedly quipped that a bowl of chili at Ike's was a bowl of blessedness. And even though the restaurant has operated at different locations within the city over the years, it remains an institution in Tulsa. It was established in 1908, and the claim to fame is the chili prepared using an original recipe. I can tell you, it's pretty darn good. The menu also features a few traditional diner favorites, but with a twist, like grilled jalapeno bacon burger or taco burger, Frito burrito, to name but a few. As revitalization sweeps along the 11th Street corridor, an early alignment of Route 66, the locals often share their hometown favorite with travelers from throughout the world. And from the stools at the counter to the old-fashioned wooden seats with high backs, black and white photos on the wall, there's a blending of the past and present at Ike's. Another venerable institution that I highly recommend is the Golden Light Cafe and Cantina at 2908 Southwest 6th Avenue in Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo is a unique Route 66 community. Two of the most famous attractions on Route 66 is the Big Texan Steak Ranch and the Cadillac Ranch. And yet, neither one is actually on Route 66. Meanwhile, travelers often overlook the Golden Light Cafe and Cantina with its weathered facade on 6th Avenue. This is the original alignment of Route 66 in Amarillo's historic San Jacinto district. It was established in 1946. This is the oldest continuously operated restaurant in Amarillo. On its first day of operations, the menu consisted of hamburgers. Well, burgers, including buffalo burgers, are still on the menu, but they face stiff competition from the excellent green chili burritos, green chili stew, my personal favorite, and a delicious patty melt. I'll tell you, if I'm spending the night and not driving and just staying in Amarillo for the evening, a big bowl of green chili stew and a cold bottle of Lone Star beer. That's good stuff there. With the addition of the Cantina in 1996, live music, great food transformed it into a favorite hangout for locals. And that's what Route 66 is about, getting to know the folks, getting to know the people. In Santa Fe, I have one for you. It's another great recommendation. This is just down the street from the wonderful 1936 El Rey Motel. Route 66 enthusiasts are familiar a lot with the El Vado, which is a masterpiece of revitalizing and repurposing an old building. Well, the El Rey was built by the same folk, so it mimics it in a lot of ways. They expanded it over the years, but they kept the original look. And the 5-acre grounds is landscaped, and it is a nationally recognized bird sanctuary. Really kind of neat. The Pantry Restaurant is located just a spit distance down the road at 1820 Cerrillos Road there in Santa Fe. This is the pre-1937 alignment of Route 66. This has been a favorite of locals, and who refer to it as Santa Fe's meeting place since 1948. It's a great place. It's simple, traditional style, family-owned restaurant. Uh, I was stunned in talking with the owners. This is a couple of years ago. I was the amount of business, a testimony to its popularity. Get this. Each year, they go through over 300,000 eggs. And she claims that she brews up 2 tons of coffee a year. I just don't know what to say about that. Traditional items dominate the menu. Many local favorites, though. There's always a twist. New Mexico cuisine is very unique. They hint of the diverse nature of Santa Fe. For example, something I really liked was blue corn cinnamon pancakes. I like buckwheat pancakes, but these were pretty darn good. Huevos con suelo and tortilla burger and stuffed sopapilla and their famous pantry burger with hatch green chilies. There's a couple things that I've tried there that I've found to be very good. Can you tell I like food? My dearest friend and I, we have a steadfast rule when we're on the road. We never eat at fast food and we never eat at a chain restaurant unless starvation is imminent. My next one I want to share with you is in Gallup, New Mexico. Earl's Family Restaurant at 1400 Route 66 in Gallup. Earl Loam, he opened this as a simple burger stand. It started out with just 4 booths and 4 stools and 2 booths. And the current owner, Sharon Richards, she was the owner as of 2019. She started as a waitress, excuse me, in 1967, and she purchased the business with a simple handshake in 1972. It's popular with locals and travelers who discover it. And it opened in 1947. They've got superb New Mexico style Mexican food and traditional American favorites, and some interesting regional Native American specialty dishes. They got a large variety of fresh baked pies and cakes. I'm more of a pie and cobbler person myself. And, even if you're just traveling, you need a break from the road, stop in, grab a slice of pie and a cup of coffee. Excuse me. It has been windy the last 3 or 4 days. 50, 60 mile an hour winds have been eating a lot of dust. What really sets Earl's apart from others along Route 66 is that it allows vendors. When the waitress seats you, she will ask you, do you mind vendors? And if you tell her, unless you tell her no, Navajo, Zuni, and Hopi artisans will come to your table to sell paintings, woven goods, jewelry, kachinas. Makes for an interesting dining experience. And Native American vendors also sell their wares outside on the portico. And it's a throwback. I can remember as a kid in the 60s, early 60s, seeing a lot of these vendors along Route 66 at restaurants and stores in western New Mexico and eastern Arizona. A tad bit closer to home in my neighborhood is the Pine Country Restaurant at 107 North Grand Canyon Boulevard in Williams, Arizona. I don't tell these stories to make myself, when I get to meeting with tour groups and visiting with people and we get talking about road stories and sharing things, I forget that out here in the West, and especially in the United States, but in the Southwest, we do things a little bit different, think of things. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to a group from the Netherlands, and talking about Williams, and I mentioned the Pine Country Restaurant, and I said sometimes my wife and I will drive up there for breakfast, and I didn't think, it's 100 and almost 150 miles up there, and so 300 miles drive for breakfast. It's just kind of common in my neck of the woods. The Pine Country Restaurant is located across the street from the Visitor Center, and that is housed in the historic freight depot, and it's just a few blocks from Grand Canyon Railroad. You got big windows at the Pine Country Restaurant, so you have a front row seat to everything going on Route 66. They got pie. Oh my, do they have pie. Pie for breakfast, pie for lunch, pie for dinner, pies and more pies. That is the heart of a Pine Country Restaurant experience. They fresh bake their pies. They usually have about 35 different varieties to choose from, like strawberry rhubarb. And they've got a coffee bar. Great place to take a break from the road. And if you prefer something more substantial, there is an expansive menu for any meal of the day. For breakfast, my recommendation personally is huevos rancheros. And for lunch, I like the Texas Red Burger. For dinner, I like the Navajo taco or the shepherd's pie. Even closer to home is Westside Lilo's Cafe at 415 Chino Street, Route 66 in Seligman, Arizona. Seligman is a dusty old Arizona cattle and railroad town, and kind of the ground zero for the Route 66 Renaissance. It seems like an unlikely place to enjoy an authentic German meal or a German Oktoberfest. An even bigger surprise is the menu offerings at Westside Lilo's. Authentic German schnitzel and bratwurst, superb huevos rancheros and chorizo burritos, steak and eggs, fresh carrot cake, and their signature dessert, giant cinnamon rolls. Lilo is a native of Wiesbaden, Germany, and her husband Patrick, who's lived in Seligman most of his life, they opened the restaurant in 1996. The origins of the restaurant, however, date to 1954. With the resurgent interest in Route 66, Lilo's is a destination for European travelers. I can highly recommend a stop in any Route 66 itinerary. And right across the street, another great place to eat, the Roadkill Cafe. Very good. I have to add a personal note here. Well, I don't have to, but I thought I would. Shortly before my grandmother, my pa's mother, passed away, her last real request for a meal was sauerkraut and beer. On that side of the family, German food was something that was often served, but usually in conjunction with American dishes or Americanized a bit. So I've always liked German foods. But I was always curious. Was the German food I was eating authentic? Even when I started traveling, going to the Berghof and different places, I always thought those things. Just consider, when you sit down and eat Chinese food, do you ever wonder, is this what Chinese food would be like in China? A few years ago, my dearest friend and I were blessed with an opportunity to visit Germany. We attended the European Route 66 Festival where I was a speaker. And a few friends generously took time to show us around the neighborhood, if you will. And one night we stayed at the Hotel Hollanderhof in Heidelberg and down along the river. And for dinner, we walked to an interesting sidewalk cafe next door. I just couldn't resist. I tried a Weisswurst, a white sausage and sauerkraut. The stuff I had been eating for 50 plus years was good, but this was downright delicious. On that trip, I tried a lot of authentic dishes. So again, I highly recommend Lilo's in Seligman for good German food and the Berghof. They both have German food, American food, or blending of the two. And at Lilo's, you can top it off with an oversized, fresh-baked cinnamon roll. Share it with the table. You won't eat it all yourself, trust me. And one from the big city at the other end of the highway, Grand Central Market at 317 South Broadway, Route 66 in Los Angeles. Check out their website at grandcentralmarket.com. Dating to 1917, this is the ultimate food court with vendors and restaurants offering almost any type of drink or food imaginable. They have a century of vintage neon signage, bustling crowds speaking dozens of languages, a heady aroma of fresh baked goods and coffee beans roasting, roasting chili peppers, a labyrinth of stores and stall fronts. It's almost overwhelming, sensory overload. It's a microcosm of the culinary and cultural diversity of the Los Angeles metro area. Where else on Route 66 can you buy fresh vegetables and exotic fruits, enjoy traditional Japanese and Armenian foods, have a mango and pistachio ice cream cone for dessert, and sip Turkish coffee all in one location? Where else on Route 66 can you enjoy fresh sushi, hop-infused milkshakes, fresh goat cheese, and rye bread sandwiches, all in the shadow of stunning historic architecture, including the city's historic theater district? Pretty amazing. Gourmet chocolates, nuts, fresh tamales. Well, my friends, I'm beating my gums a little bit long here this morning. I suppose we should wrap this up. As we've been discussing road trips, may I recommend Route Trip USA if you're planning to scratch a Route 66 adventure off the bucket list? These folks are road trip specialists. I'll post a link here in just a little bit up on the Facebook page, and you can find a link to their website and more information on our website at jimhinckleysamerica.com. As a bonus, if you book a Route 66 trip, they offer a few ways that you can enhance that, add something special. And one of those is you can book a tour of Kingman, Arizona with yours truly, me, as your guide. My friends, I ran a bit long this week. Don't forget, if you need some road trip inspiration, some ideas, including signed copies of my book, like 100 Things to Do on Route 66 Before You Die, which includes some great restaurant listings, all available on our website, jimhinckleysamerica.com. What do I have for next week? I got to give that some thought. Do you have any ideas? Well, speaking of Road Trip USA, we've got them with us today. Mr. Stephen, all the way from England. Mr. Keith Kentner. Andy, good morning. Andy, all the way from Tucson. And Jim Carter's with us. And I think, Jim, were you working out there at the Painted Desert Trading Post? I'll post a little bit on that Painted Desert Trading Post. That really, that just sums up Route 66 in a nutshell. The family and the people working together on projects. Oh, gosh, I'm glad you enjoyed last week's show. Yeah, you can find all our programs archived here on the Facebook page, and you can also find them on our YouTube channel. And there's Jax, all the way from Waynesville, Missouri. Hey, if you get a chance and you're in Waynesville, stop by Jax Wellborn's gallery. It's right near the Rubidoux Creek Bridge in the park, downtown historic Waynesville. Not only is it a great place to visit and see, but Jax is great to visit with. Ireland, West Virginia. That's interesting. Wolfgang, good morning, all the way from Germany. How are you today? Jill? David's been out on Route 66. Good. Rim's with us. Well, God bless. There's a neat surprise. You're exactly right. Road trips and food, two of my favorite things. Even better, road trips and food, and memories made with friends, adventures shared with friends, and going to these local places, just visiting with folk. That's the thing. Mike, good morning. Andy, that's damn sad. Burger King's imported. Klaus, good morning from the Netherlands. Jax, thank you. Which one, Klaus? Grand Central Market, that's in Los Angeles. Well, Michael, I'm kind of hungry myself. Maybe we should do a breakfast here pretty soon. Penny Black, we're going to get a visit in real soon. I know we will. You're going to be on the road, or I'm going to be on the road. Nolan, thank you. Yeah, I haven't been to Missouri Hick since 2019. Yeah, Shelley is a big part of the charm. Midpoint Cafe. Yeah, do they still do the ugly crust pie at the Midpoint? Oh, Penny, me too. The four-way just didn't make it, and I loved the lamb burger with the Greek sauce. Boy, that was delicious. Lily's in Tulsa. Paul, I will write that down, and I am going to give that one a try on my next trip. Jill, I'm glad you've enjoyed the Berghoff. Yeah, Penny, wild hair. Have you met Peter Niehaus down there? No, Tuggy and Joe's is gone. Yeah, they've moved on. Lily's is officially in Catoosa. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Maggie from Michigan's with us, and yeah, fast food. My dearest friend and I, we've been very fortunate for most of the last 30 years. When we travel, I can't remember more than once or twice that we've eaten fast food, and we try to avoid the chains. Just too generic. I want to do something different, and I'm not gonna. It's like when I went to Europe the first time. I got a kick out of everybody jumped off the plane there at Schiphol in Amsterdam, and I could tell the Americans, they rush right for McDonald's and Starbucks. I just suffered 12 hours of airports and flights. Why in God's name would I go to Starbucks or McDonald's when I could walk to one 3 blocks from my house? Yeah, Catoosa and Tulsa, it all starts to run together after a while. Bill, good, very good. Tara, I had planned on it yesterday. I ended up having a press situation tour and didn't get back to in till about noon. Excellent. Yeah, Tara, send me the. I'll use this link and I'll get this shared up on the Promote Route 66 page, the Route 66 California page, and we'll get it here. Camp Cajon. That's going to be fascinating. In case you folks aren't familiar, the California Historic Route 66 Association, they took COVID and they turned it into an opportunity. They created some great Zoom presentations, and they've all been really enjoyable. Donut Man, yes. Well, we talked about that, Tara. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I have trouble in any place with more than 3 stoplights, and Los Angeles it's pretty darned amazing. Time for a road trip, yes. Andy, as soon as I get the green light, they're holding up until they have the website done so they can go for donations and start raising money for this. Even though it's public, it's not officially public. I'm kind of in a limbo there. But as soon as I can go public, we're going to. Good morning. Good morning, Klaus. I see, Jim. Okay. Linda, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed this. The Galaxy Diner in Flagstaff. It was closed, then it was opened, then COVID, and I've heard that it has reopened, but I don't know for sure. Well, how are things in Livonia, Michigan? Window down, elbow out, milkshake in hand. Yes, sir. Down near Gila Bend. I can't remember if I don't know if it's still there or not. It used to be a place that had prickly pear cactus milkshakes. All pretty good stuff. Guys, we have really run this thing over, and I sure hope I have not been beating my gums too much. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll do this again next Sunday morning, and I'll keep you posted on projects, things I've got coming up, odds and ends. Got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm hoping this year we can do a bit more traveling than we did last year. And I'm hoping to see more of our friends than we did last year. That's the spirit, Andy. Yeah, Klaus. My friends, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for your support. And we will do this again next Sunday morning for another adventure in Jim Hinckley's America. And until then, vaya con Dios, mi amigos. Adios. No problems this morning, Maggie? Are you telling me we went relatively trouble-free? Check out for these coffee mugs and other Route 66 Centennial merchandise. Check out onestop66.com. My friends, vaya con Dios. Take care.